The Vraxian mothership emerged from hyperspace with the casual indifference of an apex predator entering a pond of minnows. Admiral Krell Duvash stood on the command deck, his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the blue-green. Planet ahead. Earth. Primitive, isolated, and ripe for conquest. "Preliminary scans show minimal defensive capabilities," announced Lieutenant Praxa, her scaled skin reflecting the holographic displays surrounding her station. "Their military technology is centuries behind ours. No energy shields, no antimatter. Weapons, no faster-than-light capabilities." The bridge crew exchanged amused glances. Conquest number 317 would be among their easiest. "Broadcast the standard ultimatum," Duvash ordered. "Give them the customary 50 rotational cycles to prepare their surrender ceremonies." 12,000 miles below, Dr. Verena Kaspari received the transmission at the Arecibo Observatory with trembling hands. The message was clear: surrender or die. As head of Earth's Extraterrestrial Communication Division, she had prepared for this moment her entire career, but nothing could truly prepare humanity for first contact with an explicitly hostile species. "They're giving us 50 days, she told General Eldon Ravani over the secure line. "Their technology it's beyond anything we've ever seen." "Can we fight them?" the general asked, his voice steady despite the weight of the question. Verena stared at the data scrolling across her screens. "Conventional warfare? No, but what, Doctor? They're overconfident. They've broadcast their location, their capabilities, even their biological makeup. It's as if they're showing off." Within hours, the Vraxian ultimatum reached every corner of Earth. Stock markets crashed. Religious zealots proclaimed the end times. Military forces worldwide mobilized, knowing they faced impossible odds. But in secret bunkers beneath the Rocky Mountains, the Arctic ice, and the Australian outback, an unlikely coalition formed. Scientists, military strategists, and top government officials gathered to formulate what would later be called Operation Trojan Horse. "We can't match their firepower," admitted Dr. Rohan Mehra, pulling up holographic models of the Vraxian vessels. "But we don't need to. Their arrogance is their weakness." General Ravani nodded thoughtfully. "They expect us to either surrender or attempt conventional warfare. Both outcomes end with our defeat. So we give them a third option," proposed Admiral Khalida Joe, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. "Something they won't expect." Verena stepped forward, a determined gleam in her eyes. "Their biological scans show vulnerabilities to certain Earth pathogens. Their computer systems use quantum entanglement for communication. Impressive, but with exploitable patterns. And their ships," added Dr. Mehra, "use a gravitational field manipulation that could be disrupted by targeted electromagnetic pulses, if delivered directly to their core systems." For the first time since the Vraxian arrival, a flicker of hope ignited in the war room. "They're watching us," Ravani cautioned. "Any sign of unusual activity, and they'll strike early." "Then we give them exactly what they expect to see," Khalida replied. "Mass panic, infighting, the beginnings of surrender preparations." And so, as the Vraxian observation drones recorded Earth's apparent descent into chaos and capitulation beneath the surface, humanity prepared for the fight of its existence. On the Vraxian mothership, Admiral Duvash watched the unfolding terrestrial drama with satisfaction. "Pathetic creatures," he remarked to his second-in-command. "They break so easily. Perhaps we'll keep some as pets." The bridge crew laughed, never suspecting that their perceived victory was precisely what Earth's defenders were counting on. The Vraxian fleet expanded across Earth's orbit like a metallic constellation, 17 warships positioned strategically to monitor the planet's surrender preparations. Admiral Duvash had expected resistance, perhaps even a futile military response, but the humans' rapid capitulation surprised even him. "They're establishing diplomatic channels," reported Commander Jex, overseer of cultural assimilation. "Their world leaders are requesting terms of surrender." Duvash's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of amusement. "How accommodating. Prepare the delegation ships. I want landing parties at each of their major governmental centers within 5 cycles. Meanwhile, on Earth, the apparent collapse of human resistance continued with masterful precision. News networks broadcast footage of military disarmament. World leaders made solemn addresses promising cooperation with the superior civilization that had arrived. Protesters demanding resistance were publicly arrested. All carefully choreographed theater. Deep beneath Geneva, Operation Trojan Horse entered its critical phase. Inside the repurposed CERN facility, Dr. Verena Kaspari hunched over a microscope, making final adjustments to what might be humanity's salvation. "The synthetic virus is ready," she announced to the assembled team. "It targets the unique respiratory structures in Vraxian biology, completely harmless to Earth life forms." Across the room, tech specialist Orion Kalani plugged a neural interface into his temple, connecting with the quantum simulation running on CERN's modified particle accelerators. "The logic bomb is complete," he reported. "Once uploaded to their network, it'll cascade through their quantum-entangled communications, rewriting their navigational and weapons systems." General Ravani nodded approvingly. "And the EMP payloads? Disguised as ceremonial gifts," confirmed Admiral Joe, "hand-delivered by our surrendering officials." The deception required absolute commitment. Every word, every broadcast, every apparent act of submission had to appear genuine. The Vraxians were watching everything. In Washington, D.C., President Imara Okafor prepared for her role in the charade, rehearsing the most difficult speech of her life. "I hate this," she confessed to her chief of staff, appearing weak, even as a strategy. "It's not weakness to outsmart a more powerful enemy," he reminded her. "It's the oldest military strategy in history." Aboard the Vraxian command ship, preparations for planet-side occupation proceeded smoothly. Landing craft were readied. Subjugation. Protocols were reviewed. The required genetic modifications for the human workforce were finalized. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Praxa, "I've detected unusual energy fluctuations from several Earth facilities." Duvash waved a dismissive hand. "They're probably shutting down their primitive defense systems, as expected." "Sir, with respect, the pattern seems—" "Enough, Lieutenant. Your caution is noted but unnecessary. These humans have shown themselves to be exactly what our intelligence suggested: technologically stunted and spiritually broken. Their surrender is certain." Praxa hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Admiral." On Earth's surface, the first Vraxian shuttles descended toward the designated landing zones. Crowds gathered, cameras rolled, and government officials stood ready with their ceremonial gifts and prepared statements. Inside each landing zone perimeter, disguised technological sensors monitored the approaching alien craft, gathering final, crucial data on their defensive systems. "They're coming," whispered Verena over the secure global channel. "Everyone ready?" Across the world, hidden in plain sight among the welcoming committees, humanity's last defense awaited their moment. The Vraxians had expected either surrender or a futile last stand. They were about to discover how dangerous a cornered species could be when fighting for survival with nothing left to lose. The Vraxian delegation shuttles touched down simultaneously across Earth's major capitals. Bipedal aliens with iridescent scales and 4 calculating eyes emerged to claim their prize. They wore no protective gear. Why would they? Their scanners had detected no threats, and their immune systems were vastly superior to the primitive microbes of this backwater world. In Geneva, Supreme Commander Nexor descended the shuttle ramp, flanked by guards bearing ceremonial energy staffs. Before him stood a delegation of Earth's supposed surrender committee, led by Dr. Verena Kaspari. "Welcome to Earth," she said, bowing deeply. We present this artifact of human artistry as a token of our submission." She offered a gleaming spherical sculpture, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Nexor accepted it with a condescending nod, admiring the craftsmanship despite himself. Similar scenes played out globally. In Beijing, New Delhi, New York, Cairo, and Rio de Janeiro, Vraxian commanders received beautiful, handcrafted gifts from trembling human representatives. None suspected these objects contained microscopic delivery systems for 3 distinct weapons. On the Vraxian mothership, Admiral Duvash watched the proceedings with satisfaction. "Initiate assimilation protocols," he ordered. "Begin with their communications networks." Lieutenant Praxa hesitated at her console. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual data patterns entering our systems." "Probably just their primitive encryption breaking down," Duvash dismissed. "Continue as planned. Back." On Earth, Orion Kalani monitored the digital infiltration from his command center beneath Jakarta. "They've taken the bait," he reported. "Their systems are absorbing our logic bomb, disguised as surrender documentation. The Vraxian quantum network, designed to assimilate and process vast amounts of data from conquered worlds, eagerly consumed the seemingly innocuous files. Hidden within the billions of lines of code lay Orion's masterwork, a self-replicating program designed to exploit the very quantum entanglement that made Vraxian technology so powerful. In Geneva, Commander Nexor began to feel uncomfortable, a tickle in his throat, a slight burning in his lungs. He dismissed it as an adaptation to Earth's atmosphere. "Your leaders will be processed for neural extraction," he informed Verena coldly. "Their knowledge will serve the Vraxian Empire." She nodded solemnly. "Of course. They await your procedure." Aboard the mothership, systems began failing in cascading sequence. Navigation, weapons targeting, gravitational stabilizers, all corrupted by Orion's logic bomb. "We're under attack," shouted Praxa, her fingers dancing across controls that no longer responded. Duvash slammed his fist down. "Impossible! Their technology is primitive." "Sir," Praxa's voice cracked with disbelief, "the attack is coming from inside our own network." On Earth, the Vraxian delegates suddenly staggered, clutching their throats. The bioengineered virus, perfectly tailored to their alien physiology, had activated. Commander Nexor glared at Verena through watering eyes. "What have you done?" "Exactly what you would have done," she replied calmly. "Used your arrogance against you." Throughout the mothership, confusion reigned as systems failed, and crew members began showing symptoms of the spreading contagion carried back to the ships by returning delegation members. The final phase activated when the ceremonial gifts, now aboard Vraxian vessels, released their electromagnetic pulses directly into the ship's core systems. Shields flickered and died. Weapons systems went offline. General Ravani gave the order. "Launch." From silos hidden beneath the ocean floor, from disguised mountain bases, and from orbital platforms that had appeared to surrender days earlier, Earth's true defense revealed itself. Not the conventional weapons the Vraxians had dismissed, but specialized missiles designed with one purpose: to exploit the weaknesses so carefully identified in the Vraxian fleet. The aliens had expected either capitulation or primitive defiance. They received neither. Instead, humanity delivered a precisely targeted response that transformed the invaders' greatest strengths into fatal weaknesses. Aboard the failing mothership, Admiral Duvash watched in horror as Earth's counterattack unfolded. "How?" he whispered, as alarms blared around him. "They were supposed to be primitive." "No, Admiral," Lieutenant Praxa corrected, her voice fading as the virus took hold. "We were supposed to be invincible." The Vraxian mothership listed in orbit, its once seamless hull now scorched and breached in multiple sections. Emergency lighting cast eerie purple shadows across the command deck, where Admiral Duvash struggled to comprehend their catastrophic Reversal of fortune. Stabilize life support, he ordered through fits of coughing. Activate the secondary command protocols. But the systems didn't respond. The quantum entanglement that linked all Vraxian technology had become their greatest vulnerability. Orion Kalani's logic bomb had spread like wildfire, rewriting fundamental operational code and leaving the once fearsome invasion fleet paralyzed. "Sir," rasped Commander Jex, her scales losing their luster as the virus progressed. The human deception was comprehensive. They coordinated globally while appearing divided. Duvash's inner eyelids flickered in pain and fury. 17 worlds we've conquered, 17 species who submitted or perished. How did these mammals outmaneuver us? On Earth, humanity's counteroffensive accelerated. The specialized missiles weren't designed to destroy the Vraxian ships outright, they couldn't have, but to further disrupt their already compromised systems. Each impact delivered additional electromagnetic pulses, compounding the effects of Orion's logic bomb. In the command bunker beneath Rio de Janeiro, General Ravani watched the tactical display with guarded optimism. "Status report," he demanded. 83% of their fleet is effectively neutralized," reported his tactical officer. "The remaining vessels are attempting to withdraw to a defensive position behind their moon." Admiral Joe stepped forward, her weathered face grim. "Now comes the dangerous part. We've wounded them, but a wounded predator is often the most dangerous." "They still outnumber us in raw firepower," Ravani acknowledged. "If they manage to purge our virus and counteract the logic bomb—" "They won't," declared Orion, joining them from his workstation. Sweat beaded on his forehead after 18 hours of continuous neural interfacing. "Every attempt to restore their systems only triggers deeper corruption. It's like digital quicksand. The harder they fight, the faster they sink." Meanwhile, in research facilities across the globe, scientists worked frantically to reverse engineer the alien technology from the damaged shuttles left behind. Dr. Mehra led the team at the Bangalore Center, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces. "Their gravitational manipulation technology is remarkable," he muttered, analyzing the captured drive systems. "If we can adapt this for defensive purposes—" In Geneva, Verena Kaspari supervised the containment of captured Vraxian officers. Despite their condition, they remained arrogant, certain of their superiority. "You've won nothing," hissed Commander Nexor through his quarantine field. "The Empire spans 12 solar systems. When communication fails, they will send reinforcements that will turn your world to ash." Verena studied him impassively. "How long before they notice something's wrong?" Nexor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture she now recognized as derision. "Our standard communication cycle is 27 of your days. When we fail to report, then we have 27 days to prepare," she replied, making notes on her tablet. "Thank you for the information." Aboard the mothership, Admiral Duvash made a desperate decision. "Initiate the Genesis Protocol," he ordered, authorization codes spilling from his mouth in the sacred tongue of the Vraxian elders. Lieutenant Praxa's eyes widened in horror. "Admiral, the Genesis Protocol will destroy this vessel and everyone aboard." "Better destruction than defeat," Duvash growled, "and the Protocol's final transmission will alert the homeworld to our fate." He didn't see Praxa's subtle signal to the junior officers, didn't notice as they quietly positioned themselves around the command deck. The virus had weakened him, slowed his legendary reflexes. The Genesis Protocol requires full consensus of the command staff, Praxa reminded him, her voice suddenly stronger. "And I, Lieutenant Praxa, second in command, deny authorization." Before Duvash could react, the junior officers moved in, restraining him. "This is treason," he roared. "This is survival," Praxa corrected. "You would sacrifice us all for pride. I choose a different path." On Earth, communication officers detected an unexpected transmission from the mothership, not the destructive Genesis protocol, but a direct communication request. "This is Acting Commander Praxa of the Vraxian Expeditionary Force," came the labored voice over the channel. "I propose terms of surrender." The United Nations Assembly Hall had never hosted visitors like these. 3 Vraxians, their scaled, bodies supported by medical exoskeletons, faced the hastily assembled Human Defense Council across a circular table. Acting Commander Praxa, flanked by her strategic advisors, represented what remained of the once mighty invasion force. President Okafor, flanked by General Ravani and Dr. Verena Kaspari, led the human delegation. The tension in the room was palpable. Humanity, negotiating with the very species that had come to enslave them mere days ago. "Let me be clear," Okafor began, her voice calm but unyielding. "Your fleet remains disabled. Your ground forces are contained. Your biological weakness to our engineered countermeasures has been thoroughly demonstrated." Praxa's breathing was labored, but her 4 eyes remained alert. "And yet, you offer negotiation rather than annihilation. Curious." "Not curious. Human," Ravani corrected. "We're not the monsters you assumed us to be." The Vraxian delegation exchanged glances, communication passing between them in subtle blinks and scale shifts. "Our empire will send reinforcements," Praxa stated. "When our scheduled communications fail, they will dispatch a fleet 10 times the size of ours. In approximately 24 of our days," Verena added. "Yes, we're aware." Surprise flickered across Praxa's features. "Commander Nexor informed you." "We've learned much from your commanders," Ravani acknowledged. "Just as we've learned from your technology." At that moment, Dr. Mera entered, carrying a small device that pulsed with an eerie blue light. He placed it on the table between the delegations. "This is a prototype based on your quantum entanglement communication system," he explained. "We've adapted it to generate a localized disruption field." Praxa's eyes widened. "You've weaponized our own technology against us in mere days?" "We're adaptable," Mera replied simply. "Your arrogance blinded you to our potential." Behind the human delegation, screens displayed ongoing efforts worldwide. Engineers reverse engineering Vraxian shield technology, scientists analyzing alien propulsion systems, military strategists incorporating new technological insights into defensive platforms. Praxa observed it all with growing comprehension. "You never intended to destroy us completely." "Extinction was never our goal," confirmed President Okafor. "Knowledge was." The lead Vraxian scientific advisor, Morven, leaned forward despite obvious pain. "Your species was categorized as pre-stellar, barely achieving orbital capabilities. Our assessment protocols are rigorous." "Your protocols were wrong," Verena stated flatly. "You mistook our level of advancement because we chose different technological paths than yours. Hours stretched into days as negotiations continued. The humans offered a surprising proposal: medical treatment for the infected Vraxians in exchange for technological cooperation. Not surrender, but collaboration. For the Vraxians, raised in a culture where conquest was the only interaction with other species, this approach was utterly foreign. They had no framework for peaceful coexistence. "Why would you save us?" Praxa asked during a private moment with Verena. "We came to enslave your species." The human scientist considered her answer carefully. "Because exterminating you would make us more like you, and that's not who we are." While negotiations progressed, humanity raced against time. 27 days until the Vraxian reinforcements would arrive. 27 days to prepare. In orbit, Admiral Joe directed the repurposing of captured Vraxian vessels. "We need to establish perimeter detection at the system's edge," she ordered. "If their reinforcements arrive through the same entry points, we'll have minutes of advance warning at best." On the lunar surface, construction crews worked around the clock, converting the moon's far side into an early warning station based on Vraxian sensor technology. The Vraxian prisoners watched these preparations with mixed emotions. Some, like Praxa, began to reassess their understanding of humanity. Others, including the still defiant Admiral Duvash, maintained that human weakness would ultimately ensure Vraxian victory. On the 17th day of negotiations, Praxa made an unexpected proposal. "There is another option," she said quietly. "A way to prevent the reinforcement fleet from ever departing." All eyes turned to her. "We could send a message through our quantum network, reporting success rather than failure. A message claiming, 'Earth has been subdued, the population ready for processing, and that no additional forces are required.'" President Okafor's eyes narrowed. "Why would you suggest this?" Praxa's scales shifted, a gesture Varina had come to recognize as thoughtful consideration. "Because I have seen enough to know that war between our species can only end in mutual destruction. Your adaptability matched against our empire's resources, the cost would be unacceptable." The room fell silent as the implications settled over both delegations. "Treason," hissed one of Praxa's advisors. "Survival," she corrected, echoing her words from the mothership. "The Empire has never encountered a species like humanity. They deserve better than extinction." 10 days before the reinforcement window, Earth's orbital defense grid activated for the first time. Repurposed Vraxian technology merged with human ingenuity formed a protective network of satellites and platforms encircling the planet. On the far side of the moon, the newly constructed early warning station hummed with energy. Its sensor arrays pointed toward the outer system. Acting Commander Praxa stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, now expanded with modules salvaged from her vessels. Beside her, Varina Kaspari monitored the final calibrations of the quantum entanglement communicator. "Your proposal carries significant risk," Varina noted. "If the Empire detects deception, they won't," Praxa replied with quiet confidence. "I've served the Empire for 37 cycles. I know precisely how to format a successful conquest report." The Vraxian touched a scaled hand to the medical implant at her throat, the human-designed device that kept the engineered virus in. Check. She owed her life to these mammals, these humans who had chosen mercy over vengeance. "The transmission must appear to come from Admiral Duvash," she continued. "His genetic and neural signatures are required for authentication." Duvash remained in maximum security containment, his hatred for humanity undiminished. He had refused all cooperation, choosing to suffer the virus's effects rather than accept human medical intervention. "He will never voluntarily assist," Praxa acknowledged. General Ravani, joining them on the observation deck, nodded grimly. "We've prepared for that contingency. Dr. Mehra has replicated the Admiral's neural patterns from scans taken during his capture." "Deception upon deception," Praxa murmured. "You humans are natural conspirators. We prefer strategic thinkers." Ravani replied with the ghost of a smile. The quantum entanglement communicator powered up, its components glowing with ethereal blue light. This device, capable of instantaneous communication across interstellar distances, represented the fusion of Vraxian technology and human innovation. What had taken the Vraxian Empire centuries to perfect, humans had adapted in weeks. "Network synchronized," reported Orion Kalani through the comms. "Quantum signature mimicry is online." President Okafor's voice came through from the United Nations Command Center. "Praxa, this is your last chance to reconsider. Once this message is sent, there's no turning back. Your status among your people will be that of a traitor," Praxa finished. "I understand the consequences, Madam President." She straightened her posture, wincing slightly as her still-healing body protested. "The Empire I served would annihilate your species without hesitation. The question is not whether I can betray my people, but whether I can stand by while they commit genocide against yours." With those words, she pressed her palm against the authentication panel. The device scanned her genetic signature, combined it with the replicated neural patterns of Admiral Duvash, and began transmission. The message was masterfully crafted, a detailed report of Earth's successful subjugation, the processing of human leadership, and the preparation of the planet for resource extraction. It requested that no additional forces be dispatched, as the planet's defenses had been negligible and the current fleet was more than sufficient. Transmission complete, Orion confirmed moments later. Quantum receipt verified. A collective exhale seemed to pass through everyone present. "Now we wait," said Verena. But their respite was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the station less than an hour later. "Quantum disturbance detected," shouted the sensor officer. "Something's coming through." On the tactical display, a spatial anomaly formed at the edge of the solar system, precisely where the Vraxian reinforcement fleet would have been expected. "They saw through the deception," Ravani growled. "No," Praxa's voice was barely audible. "That's not a reinforcement fleet. That's an Imperial executor vessel." The object that emerged from hyperspace was unlike any Vraxian ship humanity had encountered. Sleek, obsidian, and emanating a gravitational distortion that their sensors struggled to penetrate. "An executor is sent only for high-level verification or judgment," Praxa explained, her scales paling. "They must have detected inconsistencies in our transmission." President Okafor's voice crackled over the comms. "Can your defense system stop it?" "No human technology could," Praxa admitted. "But perhaps—" She turned to Verena. "Your virus. Could it be modified to affect executor physiology?" The human scientist hesitated. "Possibly, but delivery would be nearly impossible. Their vessels are completely sealed systems." Then, without warning, the executor vessel transmitted directly to their frequency. "This is Imperial Executor Migzori. We have detected anomalous communications. From Conquest Fleet 317, prepare for inspection." What followed was not the immediate attack they had feared, but something more unexpected. A small shuttle dispatched from the executor vessel, requesting permission to dock with the human space station. "It's a trap," Ravani insisted. "Perhaps," Praxa acknowledged. "But executors are also empowered to make independent judgments. This one wants to see the situation firsthand." After tense deliberation, Earth's leadership agreed to the meeting. The shuttle docked under heavy security, and from it emerged a single Vraxian, taller than the others, with scales so dark they seemed to absorb light. Executor Migzori surveyed the assembled humans and the lone Vraxian commander with unreadable eyes. "Acting Commander Praxa," the executor's voice resonated with authority. "Explain this." "Arrangement." Praxa stepped forward, her posture straight despite her weakened condition. "Executor, I report that the standard conquest protocols have failed. The human species demonstrated unexpected adaptability and technological innovation." "So I observe," Migzori replied, glancing at the quantum technology integrated into the station. "Your transmission claimed success, yet I see cooperation, not conquest." "The transmission was my doing," Praxa admitted. "I sought to prevent unnecessary bloodshed." The executor's inner eyelids flickered. "Treason." "Wisdom," Praxa countered boldly. "The Empire has never encountered a species like humanity. They defeated our superior forces not through matching our strength, but by turning our strengths against us. They showed mercy when victory was theirs." Migzori turned to study the humans present. "Is this true? You had the means to destroy the invasion fleet, yet you chose restraint?" President Okafor stepped forward. "We defended our world. Once that was accomplished, extermination served no purpose." The executor was silent for a long moment, the subtle shifts of its scales the only indication of internal deliberation. "In 3,000 cycles," Migzori finally said, The Empire has conquered 17 worlds. None have offered effective resistance. None have shown such innovation. The executor approached one of the modified Vraxian consoles, examining the human adaptations with evident curiosity. Our protocols classify pre-FTL species as primitive, suitable only for resource extraction or labor. Yet you have taken our technology and improved upon it in mere rotations. We're fast learners, Verena offered cautiously. Mexori turned back to Praxa. What would you have the Empire do, traitor? Abandon a conquest, accept defeat? This has never occurred in our history. Perhaps, Praxa suggested, it is time for our history to change. The tension in the room was palpable as the executor considered this unprecedented situation. Everyone present understood that the fate of Earth might hinge on this single Vraxian's judgment. I will return to the Empire with my findings, Mexori finally declared. The humans have earned reconsideration. And the reinforcement fleet, Praxa pressed, will not be dispatched, the executor confirmed, at least not until the Imperial Council has reviewed my report. As the executor prepared to depart, it paused before President Okafor. Your species was gravely underestimated. This will not happen again. Is that a threat? Asked Ravani sharply. An acknowledgement, Sori corrected. And perhaps a warning. You have demonstrated remarkable ability to adapt our technology. The Empire will be watching your future development with great interest. After the executor's departure, Earth's defenders gathered on the observation deck, watching the obsidian vessel disappear into hyperspace. Is it over? Asked President Okafor quietly. No, Praxa replied, her gaze fixed on the stars. But it has changed. The Empire has never retreated, never reconsidered. You've altered the equation. General Ravani's expression remained skeptical. They'll return. Perhaps, Verena conceded. But not as conquerors assuming easy victory. When they return, they'll find a humanity that hasn't stood still. Beyond the viewport, Earth glowed blue and beautiful, now surrounded by a defensive network that grew more sophisticated by the day. In laboratories and factories across the planet, Vraxian technology was being studied, adapted, improved. They laughed at Earth's defenses, Orion Kalani remarked, joining the group. They're not laughing anymore. Praxa, now committed to her role as bridge between two civilizations, nodded slowly. The Empire has existed for millennia because it evolved, adapted, learned from each conquest. Now it must learn something new. What's that? Asked Verena. That some species are not meant to be conquered, Praxa replied, and that humans, when cornered, are the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. As Earth's first line of defense against the stars, the repurposed Vraxian fleet maintained its vigil. Humanity had survived its first encounter with the wider galaxy, not through overwhelming force, but through ingenuity, cooperation, and the courage to show mercy when victory was achieved. The message to the cosmos was clear. Underestimate Earth at your peril. The most dangerous species in the universe might just be the one that chooses peace but prepares for war.